Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Call Halayim Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Akakadash, Shalom. First and foremost, I like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, preaching His word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say shalom to you, Akim, out there. And this is some in the news as well too, as long as I'm bringing out the scriptures as well too, to back up the news articles for today on August the 9th, 2022 at 10:24 a.m. Central Standard Time on this Tuesday morning in the a.m. And the title is going to be for this sit-down lesson today is going to be Wars and Rumors of Wars. And I'm going to bring out a scripture, Matthew 24:6. As I always, normally scripture that I always bring out during my sit-down lessons. Verse 6 in the book of Matthew in the Holy Scriptures, and it reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, seeing that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Precept, Luke 21:9. "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be ye not terrified, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not by and by." Bring out some news articles. What's the first one gonna be? And this was the area where they had like a 2-month peace treaty trust in that region of Yemen. Now we seeing clashes are starting to begin to increase once again. Because you're gonna hear a lot of wars and rumors of wars, and the nations rising against nations. Because times when there's gonna be like nations rising against nations, because it's going to be like a on and off conflict, the continued proxy wars, clash wars, economic wars, and many different type of clashes between the nations, going against one another in many different categories, So it's going to be like an on and off thing. Tensions increase, then it decrease, it shows calm, and then it increases right back up. So that's why you have the nations rising against nations in the book of Matthew 24:7, And this is a news article from apnews.com. And this was published by Ahmad Hadja. Was posted yesterday. And it says, this is in Sana'a, Yemen. And a highlight of this news article, and it reads from AP News. Officials say 3 civilians killed in a clash in southern Yemen. And it says, infighting amongst Yemen pro-government forces in a southern province kills at least 3 civilians, a medical official said on Monday. Clashes erupt late Sunday in Atak, the capital of Shabar province, between the United Arab Emirates-backed giant bridges and the Shabara Defense Forces on one side, and the Paramilitary Police, known as a Special Security Forces, on the other side. Both sides are part of a Saudi-led coalition have been fighting the country's Houthi rebels, right? Because Houthi rebels is an Iranian-backed allied group. They've been fighting the Houthi rebels since 2015. And it says 15 people, mostly fighters, were killed in a violence was followed by the UAE-backed government decision to sack an anti-UAE police commander. The official said they spoke on conditions of anonymity because they were not authorized to brief the media. On Monday, missiles struck the Atam airport, where UEA troops are stationed, officials said, without immediately providing details. It says troops and armed vehicles from both sides were deployed at the Atat streets on Monday. Dozens of families have packed and left the cities, and stores did not open for the fear of violence might persist, according to the witness, who asked to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal. Reprisal, if I pronounced that right, Salaki. Then it says also on Monday, the international recognized presidential council convened in a extraordinary meeting and enclosed the suburbs government decision and fired another 3 senior police and military commander, according to the state-run Shaba news agency. It says the council warned that such an infighting would only serve the Houthi rebels by weakening the anti-Houthist bloc. The Yemen war erupted in 2014 when the Iranian-backed descends from their northern enclave and took over the capital, forcing the governments to flee the south before its exile in Saudi Arabia. The Saudi-led coalition backed by the United States entered the war back in 2015, and more recently as well too, a couple of months ago. I believe about a couple of months ago when the Iranian Houthi rebels attacked the United Arab Emirates airport area, and then the United States led airstrikes to aid the Saudi coalition. So that been going on. The Saudi coalition go against the Houthi rebels, so that conflict been going on since 2014 and 2015 and all the way until now. It says a Saudi-led coalition, then backed by the United States, entered the war early in 2015 to try to restore the government to power. Since then, the conflict has turned into a proxy war. It says between foes of Saudi Arabia and Iran, which back the Houthis. The war has also resulted in one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Last week, the rebels and the government agrees to a renewing an existing trust for 2 more months. Yup, I just mentioned that, yup. After concentrated international efforts have left 15 troops dead, the pro-government. Yep, like I just mentioned that, yep. So after that trust agreement to extend 2 more months, but like I mentioned before, because I did previous videos on this situation of the southern Yemen region, where you still got continuing ongoing proxy wars between the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels and the pro-government of Yemen. So those clashes going to continue to continue to go on. So that's what you call nations rising against nations. Different nation factors groups are going against other different factors groups, if they affiliated with the government or if they affiliated with a group, ally back group as well too. So you're gonna hear these increases more and more and more between two different nations or two different factors of nations or different organizations clashing it out in a war type tactic. So that's why you're gonna hear continue more proxy wars, ongoing proxy wars, ongoing on and off conflicts between the nations. That's why you're starting to see an increase of the nations rising against nations now more than ever in the book of Matthew 24/7 in these latter days. And it's going to increase more and more and more, even though times tensions might calm down, but the tensions are going to increase now more than ever. But I believe after the Palestine and the Palestine and Israel conflict that lasted about 2 or 3 days, and they under a ceasefire right now. But I believe it was an article that I just looked at it. It was about day before yesterday in Iran. No, not Iran. I believe Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad of Lebanon, I believe, and in Gaza script. They made that warning saying that if Israel lay a hand on any peoples that's with the organization of Hezbollah or the citizens of Palestine or the military soldiers of Palestine, that's allied with them, they sending a warning to Israel. If they do any unlawful attacks against them, there's going to be serious consequences, and they're going to resume back strikes on them. So they sent the warning to them. So both sides sending warnings at one another, because I believe on the Israeli side as well too, they say the same thing. If the Hezbollah or the Islamic jihadists, of the Gaza Strip and in Lebanon as well too, if they violate the ceasefire, they're gonna resume their continuing of Operation Breaking Dawn, I believe. That was first started it off, when it first began. So, hey, since they sending warnings at one another, hey, you never know, this war might pop off right back again between Israel and Palestine. Jihad, Islamic Jihad, it might pop off right back again. The wars might continue back again, because they've been having a long conflict with each other for a very long times. So that's why you see the nations rising against nations, the ongoing proxy wars, the on and off conflict between the nations, even though if they've been a long time rivals, because you're going to start to see that increase now more than ever in the last days. That's why I brung out that scripture of hearing more continuing of on and off and ongoing proxy wars, of more commotions of wars and more wars and rumors of wars as well too in the latter days. And it's another article that I was about to bring out. I believe it's in Sudan, because I remember I covered this story as well too back in June, I believe. Yeah, I think back in June or early July, something like that, I believe. And then this is a news article, because it's like a cross board. Because I remember I did a lesson on this because it was like a cross-border conflict between the nations of Sudan and Chad, which is in Africa. And it says, the highlight of this news article, and it reads, this is another part of nations rising against nations as well too, which is mentioned before, recorded in Matthews 24:7. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads, was on August the 6th, 2022, from apnews.com. And it says, Sudan accuses Chad of cross-border attacks that killed 18 people. And it says Sudan has accused neighboring Chad of a cross-border attack earlier this week that a top commander says killed at least 18 in Sudan's western Darfur region, according to the Sudanese ruling Sovereign Council. Armed Jordanian assassins crossed into the West Darfur province and attacked a group of numbers standing in an open area near the border towns of Beer Shalaba in Arabala last Thursday. And it says, apart from those killed, several nomads were also wounded in the attack after their livestock was looted and taken to Chad. The council said Friday there were no immediate comments from the Chad on the accusation. A Sudanese outlet, the Par 24, reported that a minor clash between Chadians and Sudanese forces in the area, say 3 Sudanese troops were wounded. The senior Sudanese General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, the deputy head of the Sovereign Council, had traveled to Chad before an attack for a previous scheduled meeting Thursday with the Chad's acting president and head of the country's ruling transitional military council of Maf Adris Deepak Salaki, if I ain't pronounced those words right. But continue on with the reading. As he returned to where it has been resided for weeks to help diffuse the tribal tensions and violence that has rocked the troubled region in recent months. Dangle attended a funeral for the slain numbers on Friday and urged the tribe leaders and residents in West Darfur for restraint. On Saturday, he met with the Sudanese, Cantonese, Chadian Joint Committee and held talks with local officials and tribe leaders to prevent a further escalation. Sudan has called on Chad to find the attackers and return to the looted livestock. So intense fightings between the nations. And matter of fact, since I haven't brung that out, because the scriptures that I brung out was Luke 21:9, the commotions of wars, and Matthew 24:6 of the wars and rumors of wars. And this is the scripture I'm about to bring out, Matthew 24:7, as I mentioned, about the ongoing, continual increase of nations rising up against another nation, And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 7. And it's going to be the last scripture to close it out. In verse 7 in the Holy Scriptures, and it reads, For nation shall rise For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, because you're seeing the increase now more than ever, as I mentioned in my previous past videos, doing constantly consistent videos in regards to, the wars and rumors of wars definitely increasing now more than ever. Now there's gonna be times when, clashes between the nations gonna be on and off. Times when it calms down, then it's gonna increase and intensify right back up between the nations. Because you're seeing that around the world with the Palestine, Israel conflict on and off. Because you could tell they ultimate rivals, you know. And then the tensions over there in southern Yemen. And then with the Taiwan, the Taiwan and China situation. And then with the Russia-Ukraine situation. And then the article that I just brought out between the two forces on across the border between Chad and Sudanese people, armed forces. So, they got conflicts in Syria, in Lebanon, then the cross border between Israel and Syria as well too, Afghanistan, Iraq. So you still got a lot of commotions of wars, on and off, proxy wars, clashes between the nations around the world. So you still got a lot of conflicts going on between the nations, So it's gonna increase more and more, even though tensions might calm down, but it's gonna increase once again, So expect to see more of increase of nations rising up against another nations and different kingdoms going against another different kingdoms. If it's from economic wars, political wars, class wars, verbal wars, and it's gonna get to an intense physical war as well too. So with that, I hope this was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Hakim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Hakim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and above.